Lotta, and I'm here to share with you this beautiful journey of teaching your kids how to develop their learning skills early. I'm all about the early. I don't wait until they're 2, they're 5, they're 10. Why wait? These kids are ready to learn now. So take advantage of the moment when your kids are young to teach them all of these crazy things out there. First thing that I'd like to do is talk about why I chose this path. I am a stay-at-home mom. My daughter is Sonala, she's 2 years and 9 months, and I have a son, Nikolai, who is 9 months. I've always been passionate about teaching. I am also an African dance teacher, so I have, the qualities that a teacher has, being patient, being very observant, and I decided to apply those skills toward my kids' education. I said, I can do it. I want to give my children that early start. All the stuff that I struggled with growing up, I can help them relieve that stress. This is where it gets interesting, because I get questions like, so when do you start? How do you start? I want to start. Teach me, teach me, teach me. It's actually pretty simple. The only key thing is consistency and the resources that you use. Where do I get the resources? I'm one of them, and I also get my resources from other people, other places. I'm also learning and growing. So don't stop here. Keep looking around and exploring your options. Homeschooling was something that I didn't really know much about. I had friends who were homeschooled, and they were the best, nicest people I've ever met. And I think there's a misconception about homeschool where people tell me like, oh, you're gonna homeschool your children, they're gonna be loners when they go to school. They're not gonna know how to socialize. Why deprive them of that social life? It's about the social. But these kids that are homeschooled have the opportunity to go out in the world and explore it the way they see it. Of course, you can have this school setting where you have a structure, you have a schedule. The same thing happens at home. Once I got into that environment, my daughter excels in it so well. She knows I'm mommy, she knows I'm teacher, and when we go out, she knows that she is just a little 2-year-old. She has play groups, she has activities, she has gymnastics, she used to do swimming, now she just started cheerleading, and I tell you, she's at the top of her class, social-wise. Just because your kid is at home with you and doing all these activities, it doesn't mean that you are depriving them of a social life out there. There are so many ways these days to provide that need for your child. This is all in my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. Do what works for you. You can still do all of this while you are a working mom, working dad. This is why it's so simple and it's so easy. So don't look at this like I don't have the time. I'll show you how you can make time. To begin, I just want to make it very simple. Along the way, I'll be breaking down the sessions. So today, I want to focus on how to get your child to focus, because that's the number one thing that's hard, to be able to retain whatever it is that you're trying to teach them, especially when you're teaching at the very infant age. I tend to start at 3 months because at that point, they're beginning to figure out how to sit up, they're getting more physical, there's more movement, and that's the point that works best. So ABCs. Start with your ABCs because it opens up many doors to early reading. And early reading is great because A, your child gets excited, they can read books on their own, they can go out in the world and they're just like, oh my gosh, that's what that says. Awesome, I can understand that. And it also builds their curiosity and also builds their communication skills early. So you don't have to figure out, like in the newborn, what's wrong with you, you're crying, but why are you crying? So they can start to communicate with you. Something else I do on top is baby sign language. This is really, really optional. If you really want your child to start communicating with you early, baby sign language is great. And that's a whole nother video that I can go into, but today I just want to talk about the first phase of reading. What you do is you need to start making these on your own. You don't need a laminator yet, okay? Just take a white sheet of paper. It could be glossy, it could be non-glossy, and just take a Sharpie in black. Just start writing the alphabet, lowercase, okay? Why lowercase? Do we read books with capital letters all the time? No, just the beginning letter of the word is a capital and everything else is lowercase. So they are looking at words in the style that they see everywhere, okay? So why not teach them in that style, okay? As long as they can recognize the sound first, that's the most important step for you. When you're sitting down on your bed or in a chair or in a position where they're facing you, you can just start showing them the letters. Hi, baby. we're going to practice our letter sounds, okay? Alpha phonics. So you start ah, b, and you go k, and you keep going. You show them that. How often? As often as you can during their playtime, all right? Babies at this phase, every time they wake up from their nap and you're trying to get them physical, you do them stretches, give them a little bit of that learning time. This literally takes 2-3 minutes. You do what's comfortable and you do what's at your pace, but just as long as whichever pace you set, you keep that consistent throughout each day. You can start slow. You know, kids can be a little bit hard sometimes to deal with. You're stressed, you're tired, lack of sleep. Do it at your own pace. And when you start getting it going at a good rhythm, then continue from there. And on top of that, what you do is you start testing them. You've done all the lettering individually. Now you ask them, where is? You're trying to get them to the point where they're starting to discriminate. It's not this sound, it must be that sound. This is where the selection process comes in. Focus. So they are busy looking at 2 cards, okay? So this is the testing phase. And they'll probably just look at it like, I want food, okay? But that's okay. You're beginning to introduce that dialogue to them, okay? The question that they are expecting to do something. It's their turn. Here's the communication, exchanging. I say something, you say something back to me. Another thing I'll suggest is use toys. Have a car and maybe have a doll, okay, or something, okay, 2 different objects. And you say, this is a doll and this is a car, all right? And then you hide them and you show them, okay, so where is the car? Here it is, this is the car, all right? You give them the answer at first, but you're showing them that when you ask them the question, they're expected to pick something. So you keep repeating this to the point where by the time they're about 6 months and they're beginning to reach out, then you can start expecting them to kind of grab an answer. Whether right or wrong, it's okay. The fact that they're sitting there, and if they look at one and the other, you've got it. And the fact that they're reaching out, you've got it, okay? That's the first step in order to do any of these things. It may take longer for some babies, that's okay. The fact that you're doing it consistently, they'll then get to adapt. Babies at the point where you are able to sit them up, they're eating solids, it's a perfect time. Sit them in a high chair. That is their new classroom. They're stuck up there, they can't fall out, they can't go where, they have no choice but to look at what you're doing. Once they're sat up on the table, you don't let them have it, you just show them again and do it fast. Babies learn very fast. Their brains are like a sponge. They can consume things very fast. So for example, A, B, K, D, E, and so forth and so forth. After that one round, you then ask them, where is A? And you have to repeat it multiple times, because then it helps them keep that sound in their mind to choose the right one. So you ask them, A, 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 and then lose focus, have a little tap, bring the attention back to you. Here you go. Where is A? And then if they take a while, give them the answer, okay? A, okay, let's try the next set, and so forth and so forth. Soon, they'll start expecting to touch and tap, okay? Grab. Another fine motor skill, teaching them how to select. Some kids will pat, some kids may just, throw their hand to the answer, or some kids will just look at it and show you that's the answer. This is when you know that they are really thinking. Teaching your kids how to think. This is the movement you want to see. They have these in front of them, they're looking at this one and that one. That's when you know they are comparing in their minds. They're trying to do a visual discrimination exercise. That is very key once they have reached that point. A small recap here. So take a piece of paper, cardstock preferred because it's a little bit thicker. This is photo paper. I just like the gloss. Take a Sharpie, black, write a letter from A to Z, and you cut it up however you wish, but make sure that it's not a gigantic piece of paper. It's enough that you can hold 2 in it at a time. Keep it small and keep it in focus. So about the size of your palm, that's all you need. Make sure you learn the sounds properly, okay? You don't be saying B when it's B, because that's going to confuse them, because now you're teaching them the letter names as the letter sound. So go through yourself to make sure that you're familiar with the letter sounds, all right? And that's all you need to do. How many times a day? However many times you want to do playtime with them. Incorporate a little bit of learning, okay? And when do you do it? When they're able to sit up on the high chair. What is the best time of the day to start? Normally at breakfast time when they're sitting up. I also use visual resources, okay? So I'll share the link of the video that I show my kids on a daily basis. It talks about every letter and says it phonetically. My son, once he was 8 months, he began repeating some of the letters back. So when he's looking at the video, he starts saying, ah, and then B, C will go by, and then letter E. So he goes, eh. Sometimes even before it comes. So when D passes by, he's saying, eh, that's the next one, okay? So those are the letter sounds that he's able to say as he develops. So it's amazing, and he's so excited. So you're also creating anticipation. And you can do this with your toddler too. So your child is 1, they're 2, they're 3, do the same method. The older they get, it's harder to get them attentive. But that's why it's always good to start early. This is why I say, whether you're a stay-at-home mom or whether you're a working mom, this is something you can do. It takes 1 to 2, 3 minutes and say, hey, look at this cool activity. Sit them down, and if they're still sitting in a high chair, of course, sit them down and just say the alphaphonics with them. You can also add numbers to it. It doesn't just have to be the alphaphonics. One thing that you can do with your numbers, start with your fingers. 5, okay? So, same process. They're laying down, they're sitting down. You start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you ask them, where is 1? Where is 2? All right? And they'll start picking them up. So there you go. You're now teaching them English. Now you're teaching them math. It's really great when you see your kid excited when they start getting stuff. So again, pace yourself and don't get overwhelmed. It's going to stress you out. You're going to burn out. Your kids are going to sense it, and you're not going to go anywhere. It may take a month. It may take a month and a half, but they do get it. I'm telling you, they do get it. My kids are proof. They're not born with superpowers. All these things they were taught. What to expect next time? We'll go over the blending. Now that your toddler has begun to repeat the sounds to you, how can we take it to the next phase? For now, just get their focus, get them selecting, and start to swatch their visual patterns of discrimination and be consistent. That's it for today, guys. Until next time, bye-bye, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Okay, Google, give me some outro music.